Hello there, my beautiful Cancer signs. This is Rachael with Dark Knight Coaching. Today's video is a traditional Celtic crossbred. When I get into your energy, Cancer, I meditate with music, and today's video was brought to you by Lady Gaga's song called Disease. So if some of you have been battling a disease or contagion of some sort or a cold, this video is for you. It is a kind of a very specifically guided message, but I do feel like you have to hear it because it's going to shift you out of negative vibrational frequencies into something very positive for you. Now, I'll dive into the tarot first, and then I will pull some oracle cards. Things are a little bit out of order this morning, but I do feel like that might be a significant message for you because you're shifting energetically. We all are, because the Schumann resonance, that's weird. Something about residency might be significant. Some of you might be going to school to become a doctor, or maybe you know a doctor. Something about a resident might be a message. But the Schumann resonance, which is the Earth's magnetic frequency and vibration, basically is kind of off of the charts lately. So there's a lot of shifts happening collectively. So if you've been feeling nauseous or sick or backache or things like that, a lot of the times those are side effects of the frequency shifts that are happening actively with the electromagnetic poles, essentially. And we all are electromagnetic beings. This is scientific fact. So not only are we these three-dimensional beings, we are also energy and electromagnetism. So I have a couple tangents that I want to talk about because of this song called Disease. There are ways to cure ailments that are not so traditional. Now, take into consideration, I am a medical professional, but I'm not here to give you medical advice. So anything that I say on this channel is purely for entertainment purposes. However, there is a lot of science and backing to everything that I'm saying, because I've done a lot of research about our energetic vibrational frequency and what it means to be an electromagnetic being. Now, the Disease song has a portion in there that says, like, I can smell your sickness, I can cure your disease. And some people have the ability, some animals specifically as well, can also smell certain diseases. I think dogs can be trained to pick up certain diseases like Parkinson's, I want to say, and something else, Alzheimer's possibly. There are like training programs for dogs to pick up early signs of cancer as well. I think there's a movie called A Dog's Journey where they show this. So that is true, that is possible. And there are also some humans who can smell sickness or illness or things like that. I have actually done that myself, which is kind of strange to say, but I didn't know what I was smelling in the moment, but it was someone's impending sickness. So that's kind of interesting, but I do feel like there is something about a disease or some sort of method you can do to help cure yourself from it, because diseases stem from negative vibrations, low frequencies. It's usually a manifestation of the way we treat our bodies and how we kind of hold on to trauma or negative energy forms. So even though that sounds a little hippy-dippy, it is basically frequency. So disease is frequency, and it can be transmuted by healing and elevating out of a certain frequency. Because if you've ever heard those like crazy stories about somebody having cancer, like terminal cancer, and then all of a sudden they go to like a meditative retreat and they're cured, not that I'm promoting that sort of thing, but some people can actually do the healing work. And when they do that, they get themselves out of the lower vibrational frequency and they elevate, and they can cleanse themselves of those particular diseases. Now, your vibe right now is the Magician, which is the master alchemist here, Cancer. Now, this is like you have all the tools in your toolbox to transmute pain and cure yourself. But the challenge here is like maybe you have some regrets, remorse, you're holding back. or maybe there's a female in your life, the Queen of Pentacles, that you could lean into for support, but you're choosing not to. Or, you know, something about feeling cool and comfortable in your skin is the challenge here. The foundation of the situation is brought on by death, some sort of ending of a relationship or situation, some sort of, maybe you lost a loved one, lost a connection. But I do feel like this is more so an ego death, or a death of pride in a way that's causing the shift here. So like maybe you were in a negative cycle of pain and sorrow, and something shifted to cause some sort of cataclysm or I just feel like there was a big trigger for you, a big awakening, and it's caused some sort of egoic death. And it's a needed shift, but I do feel like it's maybe threw you off or threw you for a loop because it was unexpected. It was something you weren't planning, and something outside the box, because you have the box card here, which I don't traditionally go into the oracle cards until I'm done with tarot, but I feel guided to kind of bounce around today. And maybe that's the thing here too. Like maybe you need to break free from your routines and bounce around a little bit, because I feel like that's going to help you break out of some pattern of repeat that you're stuck in. So something about thinking outside the box or doing something outside the box. Or maybe there was a boundary that you crossed, and that's kind of what caused you to go into a negative vibration or a lesser frequency. So something about, I don't know, I'm seeing pyramids here too. Something about pyramid schemes. Not getting a clear message there, but in your past, you had the Swords come out in reverse, which I don't usually take reversals unless I'm really feeling guided to. And in this case, I was definitely feeling guided to, because I feel like Cancer, you're moving out of calmness into chaos and conflict. So this is a backwards, this is opposite of what you want. But I feel like it's due to the nature of this death, this ego death. It's like you're not sure how to handle things, and I feel like it's really thrown you for a loop. Now, in your present energy, you also have the Seven of Cups. So it's like you have a lot of options. You're just not sure which way to go. In your head, I don't feel like your head's on straight right now. You're not in a good mindset, because you're kind of in this analysis paralysis mode with the Seven of Cups. It's like there's so many options. You don't really know what to do. Maybe you need to think outside the box to come up with a solution here. But I don't, I'm just not getting a great energy from this situation. So I feel like maybe you feel like all hope is lost, and I don't think that's the case, because I feel like there's something that you're not seeing very clearly, because the moon is in your subconscious. Now, the moon is typically the subconscious energy that we don't even really recognize, but there's some sort of illusion or something you're not seeing clearly, and maybe it's the part that you played in a scenario or a situation, and you know, that's not really a good message for anyone to hear, but I do feel like it's taking accountability, and it's also like understanding that your actions have consequences, and that, you know, your decision on what you put inside of your body directly affects your well-being. And, you know, I'm as much of a glutton for sugar or junk food as anybody else. So like no one is immune to the temptations that we face on a 3D level. That's just the nature of the material world, and the, you know, they call them the 7 deadly sins. There's gluttony, there's lust, there's all sorts of things. So if you've given into something lustful or something gluttonous, or maybe even like jealousy or whatever your intention was in a situation, I feel like the karma is coming back around for you. And this could have been something that happened like 6 months ago, I'm getting, in Taurus time frame, which is usually around May, that kind of area, but it could be in July or something like that. Now, the moon is significant here too, because there's a lot of karma coming out to play. And there's going to be a lot of closure with the situation, because you have the World card here. So it's like you're ending a cycle and you're really moving forward. But the World card to me symbolizes like completion. Now, closure doesn't always come in the forms that we like. It comes in the way that we need it, not in the way that we want it. So I do feel like you're having some revelations and you're being enlightened at this time because you have the enlightenment card. The enlightenment card is tied to your solar plexus, which is kind of like your sense of self. I like to think of the solar plexus, which is right below the heart space chakra. I think of that as like the empathetic and the narcissistic centers. We all have empathy. We all have narcissism. Really, it's the fine dance of being in those traits when we need to be. It's kind of, I view it as like the yin and the yang, the balance of the feminine and the masculine energies. But this enlightenment, I feel like, is stemming from a place of being humbled. Like that's, you're getting some humility because life needed to teach you that lesson. And it has to do with some burden from the past that you're not quite over, because the foundation of the situation was the 10 of Swords in reverse, which means like you're not over something. And I do feel like for some of you, it has to do with a woman who set some boundaries that were very much so firm. But I don't think it was done with a malicious intent. I think it was done in a self-preservation type of way. And I feel like you're not over that yet exactly because Cancer, you have the heartbreak card in how people see you. So I do feel like they still see you as heartbroken. Maybe you still feel betrayed on some level. But chances are when we get into relationships or situations that don't serve us, we're really just betraying ourselves. We're really doing a disservice to ourselves. So taking accountability and understanding the part that you played in a relationship, whether it was successful or whether it ended, is vital, because when you cannot reflect and become self-aware, you tend to become a martyr or a victim of someone or something. Not to say that there aren't victims, because like there are, but when you stay in that mindset, it's a low vibration, it's a low frequency, and then you attract in naturally the same sort of people and the same sort of situations until you learn the lesson. So you'll be stuck in the cycle of repeat until you really absorb and move forward. Now, in your hopes and fears card here, you have the Justice card. It came with the 10 of Pentacles clarifying. It just kind of flew out, so I took them both. But in your hopes and fears, maybe you fear that karma is going to come back and bite you, or maybe you fear that good karma is, maybe you're hopeful that good karma is on the way because you've done some introspective work and some healing. I just feel like there's still some healing left to do because of your outcome card here, Cancer. And I don't like to sugarcoat things. Like, I just like to tell you what the energy is. So if this message doesn't resonate, it's not for you. Maybe it's with the person that you're dealing with or the person that you're getting over, because energy is fluid. So if I'm saying feminine and you're like, that's not it, it might be masculine. So make sure you can switch the roles here because it does flow. Now, in the potential outcome here, it's the Page of Swords energy. This is a card of like immature mindset still. So it's like maybe you're still blaming someone else for what happened to you or a disease. But chances are that's coming from a place of not taking accountability or not being responsible for the path that led, like how you got there. But you can cure yourself of most all diseases. Doctor Strange is a great movie to reference for that, which I know it's like the Marvel universe. Nobody thinks it's real, but I do think that there's an ounce of truth in every movie that Hollywood puts out, because that's kind of the law of the spiritual realm, is the truth has to be revealed in some way, shape, or form. And a lot of the stuff in the Marvel movies is actually, I find, quite accurate when it comes to the spiritual process and astral realms and quantum theories. I'm thinking of like the movie Ant-Man, and then there's that part where Tilda Swinton becomes like an astral entity, and there's like astral battles and things like that, and those things do happen. And there are ways that we have scientifically proven that, and that even the government has documents on those sorts of things. So if you look up, I want to say it's like cyanide. It's not cyanide, but cyanide might be important. But there's like these glasses called, just Google like cyanide glasses. It's not really the name of it, but I can't think of the name right now. But it was these glasses that I think they were red layered colored, that pilots would wear in the 50s when they were doing like night flying and trying to have these battles. And some of the pilots were like seeing these entities and presences that were flying beside them. And it was the spiritual realm they could see through these lenses. So that has also been scientifically proven, but they don't, there's a lot of stuff we shouldn't know, or they don't want us to know. So yeah, weird tangent, but somebody needed to hear that. So all right, Cancer, I'm going to dive into the oracle cards now. I've tapped into a couple of them, but there's still more here. And my cat is meowing at the door, so cats might be a significant thing for you. Maybe you have a cat that's a spiritual protector. Something about Aquarius time frame might be significant. January, could be January of this year, January of last year, but it says bring love into the situation. New moon in Aquarius. And then for your third eye, you have develop. So it says, let your curiosity surface. Are you trying to guide your intuition in one direction and sit with yourself and let your mind run free? What are your mind and your body telling you? Now, I will say that when we betray someone, or when we deceive people, or we do things with malicious or negative intent, those things come back around for us. That's called karma. And sometimes that comes in forms of holding on to negative energy and having negative intention. And when we have those things inside of us, it festers and it does cause disease or sickness or illness or things like that. So make sure you're trying to release any negative energy or negative intention you have towards someone, because that will be the law, spiritual law, is it comes back around to you. So make sure you're aware of that. Now you do have the owl, which is a great card to see. This is a wise card. You're going through enlightenment, you're having clarity, and you're having the owl, which is wisdom. So you're learning a lesson here for sure. It says pay attention to the winds of change. And then you have, I am beginning an exciting new path of self-discovery. So maybe you're really realizing what you want because you've had what you don't want. And sometimes that's what happens when you have all of these cups and all of these options. You're like, I don't really want any of those. And I feel like that's what's moving you out of an old pattern too. You also have new life. So definitely an ego death, the dark night of the soul, enlightenment. You're on the trajectory that you need to be right now. But I just feel like it's very difficult because it's like you're still in that processing mode of accepting where it is you've been and where it is you are now. And sometimes that can almost be traumatic because it's like we don't understand how we ended up this way, or why life took a turn in this direction. But it was because of your soul's growth, your maybe your self-worth or your value at the time needed to shift. And I do feel like you've shifted something. You have the tolerance card. This one says you appreciate others' points of view because you sense the love in everyone. Now, typically you can only sense the love with everyone if you have love within yourself. And I do feel like bringing love into a situation is vital because you have that message basically twice. So the last card I have for you, Cancer, is from my I Ching deck. This was number 52, Stilling. It says, hold yourself still as in meditation. Don't seek to grasp yourself by hunting down your every thought. You do not need to resonate with anyone. Even if you feel as though you ought to be sensitive to their presence and needs, it's no mistake to exclude all these things and be quiet within yourself. What if there were nothing you had to do, and what if there were nowhere else you had to be? And I think that's just understanding that our thoughts are never-ending trains, essentially, and the only way to quiet the mind and to reach that part of yourself and your soul of knowing is to go within. And sometimes that's through meditation. Sometimes that's through, finding flow in doing something you love. Like for some people, it's driving a car. For some people, it's playing the piano. For some people, it's, creating their own music. And when you get into that flow, you're in a high frequency state, and that's when you can really connect with the universe, and you can co-create something very beautiful. So very cool reading, Cancer. It's a very heavy reading, but I do feel like it's a very optimistic energy, as long as you're doing the self-work, the self-healing, and understanding the role that you're playing in your life and that you are in the driver's seat. So don't forget that. Now, that's what I have for you, Cancer. If this video helps, please make sure you smash the like button. It helps my channel grow, and I greatly appreciate it. If you're interested in a one-on-one coaching session, please feel free to reach out. You can DM me or book on my website. And yeah, that's what I have for you. I'll see you next time.